How to make life work well. This is an important conversation for us as doctors. Why? Because a lot of our patients are coming to us with lives that don't work. We've seen this huge increase in mental health, in financial strain, in bodies that no longer work. Our society has been fascinatingly, how should I put this? It's like in our own success, we have created difficulties that we never had before. I just over in the States and got to see the level of obesity. It's quite shocking. It's like, whoa, okay, whatever you guys are doing over here is causing obesity. And it's here in Australia as well. And we've got some problems. We've got some challenges. There's no doubt about that. You at the coalface consulting every day are seeing the results of decisions made over the last 5, 10, 15 years of how people are living. And we have, as human beings, solved many problems. Go back 50 years, 100 years, 200 years. Their lives are vastly different. Vastly different. They would be astounded and shocked at the level of opulence and the level of material wealth that we have. And they would also be shocked at the number of difficulties that we have, because I would imagine that if we were going to take them out of their time with all of its difficulties and bring them here, the level of comfort, the level of material wealth, it'd be like, well, how come there's problems at all? And yet in solving the problems of the past, we have now created more problems. And this is important for you because you've got to guide people on what to do. We're not living in the 19th century where we didn't have antibiotics, where we didn't have even many concepts of basic hand hygiene. Medicine was extremely primitive by comparison. Very unusual ideas of just not understanding what was going on. And what has been apparent to me has been that previously there were not many ways to make life work. It was hard. And if you didn't follow pretty strictly along those lines, then you would suffer, perhaps even die. It was brutal. Like, remember that women would often have 8, 10, 12 babies, and of that, they were hoping 2 would make it. Talking about the loss of 10 babies. Now, that is almost incomprehensible in a first world country like Australia now. It's like, wow, how could that possibly have happened? And that's how far we've come. But in the solutions to all these problems, now we face different difficulties. And there are now many ways to exist and not suffer too dire consequences immediately. Now, go back in the past, you did something wrong, boom, over. Oh, that didn't work. Now we've got it that the consequences don't show up for a while. But when they do, they're more difficult because they're a result of our habits and a result of our environment. And being able to guide our patients on what works now is a critical skill. One of my friends put up a post and he was speaking of the denigration of the wisdom of the father, that in our Western society, people do not take the wisdom of the father very seriously. My father just died. I was like, Dad, what did you teach? And he taught the value of service and the value of hard work, of looking after the body. Very difficult. 21 years with neuropathic pain in his tongue, still delivering babies, still got 4 kids, still got financial pressure, and he gets through and then he gets dementia at the end. It's like, I wish I could have asked him, hey, Dad, how did you live? What would you do now? So instead, I've had to forge my own way, look out and go, hey, anybody got anything for this? Because the world has changed so much and it's going to continue to change. And if you saw the error in the Snapchat AI where it started posting by itself, it's like, technical error? Did you guys change the code or is it doing something? It's like, oh, that's quick. Got to remember, my first exposure to AI was in February of this year. We're now in August. So what's that like? March, April, May, June, July, 6 months. 6 months, and it's improved. It's amazing. It writes emails, it writes copy letters, it writes cover letters, it does this, it does that. It's like, whoa, okay. Change is upon us. And so the assumption, though, that life will continue to be as easy as it has been may be false. We clearly have challenges. United States debt just got reduced from AAA to AA. Maybe not a big deal. But with the high interest rates on such a huge amount of debt, they've got a problem in the fact that they can't raise enough tax income to pay for their debt and pay for everything else that needs to be paid for. This is not a good thing. We live in a modern world where the money can exit out of the United States, and so increasing tax rates may not work. In fact, it won't work. People will move. They'll move to other jurisdictions that have more beneficial places for the money, and so we may see the rapid decline of the great power of the 20th century, the United States of America. Could things be changed? Yes, they could. But we're heading into a wild ride in the next 18 months coming into these elections in the States. Like, the States still has a massive impact on the world. But we've never seen an election with AI available. You are not going to know whether it's real. If you watch a video, you're not going to know whether it's real. The AI will make it seem like Trump can say anything, Biden can say anything. Unless you're physically in the room with these guys, going to be hard. And then having multiple verifications. Here's him live. 14 different people filming live. He's all saying the same thing. Okay, that's real. The rest of it, going to be very difficult. So what's this going to do? Who knows? My take on it is that it is better to be prepared for life to get more difficult and not have that happen. Hopefully, we usher in a new golden era where things work really well, but that is not what we're seeing. We're not seeing that in medicine. We're not seeing that in life. Inflation driving the cost of everything up. People struggling. There's a lot of pain out there right now. Religion is failing, and they're coming to us as doctors to say, hey, what should we do? How should we live? So you're going to need to know how to live well. How's your life going? Been on the spiritual path for some time now. In 2005, I had a wake-up call. I was like, whoa, there is some other stuff going on in this reality than I was unaware of. No, that is not correct. I was chasing flow states. I was chasing the zone. I would have these experiences during exams, during sport, during skiing. I was like, how do you get into flow? And there was a book by Mihaly, very difficult to pronounce last name, and he'd written a book in 1973 about flow, and they had beepers that would go off and they would track how people would feel. And he found that if the difficulty and the skill set matched, then they would stay in flow. And then it got refined a little bit more. A gentleman who had chronic fatigue discovered surfing would cure the chronic fatigue for a short period of time, and he would enter into the flow state. And surfing has a wonderful mix. Once you get up to a certain level of balance between difficulty and between skill set. And it also has an amazing ability to induce presence into the moment. So surfing is a key way. Not everyone can do it. Before you hit threshold, it is a brutal and difficult sport. You're like, why would anyone do that? Over that, it opens up into bliss and literally like you're in the presence of God. It's unbelievable. But you don't have to be a surfer, but you do need to know what works now in this tech age, in this age of AI, in this age of ease, and yet in that ease of difficulty. People have become soft. People have become fat. I am currently overweight. It's brutal. Very difficult. At 46, the effort to lose weight is significant. Like, I got to stop eating the bread. Stop eating the bread. Track the diet. Okay, it takes a lot of work. Why? Because my life's quite stressful. 3 kids. I'm married. I mean, we live in a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. We're in Broken Head. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. But it's still difficult to be here. I used to tell my patients it's 2 years to stay. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you can make it 2 years here, then you're good. You've been tested. It's hard to find work, and it's expensive, and it's hard to find accommodation. Pull those things off, though, and you're good to go. And you get the experience of the beauty and the rainbows and the whales and the dolphins and the rolling waves and the clean food and the spiritual awareness that is here. But it's not such an easy place to live. And even now, 12 years later, it's still testing. So what's the solution? Well, I wanted to encourage you to consider that you must move beyond just a pure body and mind model. That life in the 21st century can be measured across 4 key areas. That of our bodies. We are not doing anything. You're not doing anything. I'm not doing anything without this body. How is it looked after? Is it flexible? Is it strong? Has it got resources? Is it stuck? What's the body like? Then, what's your relationship with life itself? A category of being, a human being. What are we doing here? Am I living on purpose? What is my purpose? How much effort has been put into discovering purpose? What are my gifts? What are my callings? What are your gifts? What are your callings? What are your patients' gifts? What are your patients' calling? What are their purpose? This idea of what is it all about? And meditation is a critical skill set, and documentation of the difficulties and challenges and the breakthroughs and the joy and love that you have, writing this stuff down, helpful. Otherwise, it's all just going to slip by. Third, we've got a category of balance. Balance? Balance in life with others, with people that you care about. Perhaps this could be patients. Perhaps this could be other doctors. This could be team, nurses. But it could also be your family, your siblings, your parents, your kids, your partner. How do you relate to that? I got a beautiful experience this morning. My wife and I were having coffee this morning. We're having some eggs and coffee. And she said, Tom, your kids love you so much. Your kids love you so much. I was like, that is a result of knowing what to do and doing it. Small investments into them. Small investments, letters, notes, words of encouragement, listening. What's going on for you? My son Hamish was struggling. He was like, I'm going into this game, I'm going to score 2 3s and 2 2s. And he came out and he got 1 2 and a free throw. And just the suffering in that and allowing him to share his experience of how he is so passionate. And yet he hasn't gone through puberty and he's like, when will I grow? I'm like, mate, I don't know. That one's not under my control. It will come. Be patient. And in the meantime, keep training. And we discussed training, practicing, not just how much, but also what is he practicing? Practicing the right things. And he told me a story of a boy who is a year older. Not that tall, but is a powerful, skilled basketballer. And I was like, okay, let's go find out what he did, how he trains. What is he doing? Because he's in the same situation that you are. You want to be there. Let's go find out what he's doing and emulate that. Practice that. Copy it directly. And then once you know it, start innovating. Same with this life thing. looking after the body, looking after the being, looking after the balance, and then looking after business. Now, you could argue that money is not important, that perhaps wandering through in scarcity is part of this life, but I would suggest that it is not. One of the great gifts of the area, of the Byron Bay area, is just how abundant things are here in nature. Do not have a shortage of things. Trees grow. They're a bit early because of El Nino. All of the trees are coming out. I got a lychee that is laden. We got this amazing lime tree. I think we pulled 300 or 400 limes off it last season, and again it is flowering. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this lime tree stuff is unbelievable. And I just dumped 6 loads of mulch around it for it to start. It's never actually had that much care. I'm like, well, let's see what happens when I give it some love. But business is important. Your skill sets in medicine, your CPD, but also how you manage the money and how you manage your patients. Not much effort in medicine goes into before they see you, how is that managed? What do they go through? What's their experience before they walk in the door? When they first book, what happens next? And then when they see you, and then what happens afterwards? These are business skills. But we have been on a drip of not really needing these things. Why? Because medicine, there's so much demand. And look, the demand's not going away. Irrespective of what happens, we have the baby boomers getting old. It's funny seeing people who I haven't seen in 20 years. And suddenly it's like, oh, you're older. And guess what? Hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements, and spinal fusions. Lots of stuff medically going on for these people. We're not going to have a decrease in demand for medicine, but those of us who are willing to invest into skill sets that make it a very good experience will do better. And, hey, it's good for the patients. Their experience matters. Their experience matters. So managing the money, managing the business, managing the medicine is our 4th category. Do these and you will thrive, irrespective of the conditions. Whole life gets a whole lot better, great, you do well. Life gets a whole lot harder, you do well. And you have something to offer your patients when they come to you and say, hey, my life's not working. I mean, you're like, yeah, I know, I can see it. I can see it in you. I can see it in your bloods. I can see it in your imaging. I can see it in your mind. I can see it in your thoughts. And they're like, what do I do? And you have something. It's called the core 4. These 4 key areas of life: body, being, balance, and business. On the daily. How often do you invest into them? Daily. 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 Small amounts daily. Just like compound interest in the bank, $10, $10, $10, $10, $10, $10, $10. And over the years, those $10 start to multiply, and that original $10 turns into $150. Because as you continue to invest, the growth begins. Small little changes, imperceptible at the beginning, but eventually leaving a huge gap. Huge gap. Now, if this is something that you're interested in, we call it the have it all lifestyle. That all 4 areas of your life are working. Not 3, not 2, not 1, but all 4 at once. And you would like to know how to do this? Then head over to Graduate Medicine on Facebook and send me a message and say Core 4. And we'll jump on a call together and have a look at your life across these areas. How are you doing in body right now? What are you role modeling to your patients? What needs to change? What needs to continue? What investments need to be made in terms of money, in terms of energy, in terms of skill sets to elevate your life? Because here's the question that I got asked, who would you be if you made these daily investments? Not tomorrow, not the next day, but in a year's time, or even in 6 months or 3 months' time. 3 months for transformation. People look at you and go, what happened? Oh, I found this way that works. I found this way that works. If this is a conversation that you know you need or want in your life, just so you can discover who you really are, head over to Facebook, hit up Graduate Medicine on the message, send me a message and say call for. That's all I got for you today. An exciting day ahead, and I'm going to put some needles in some people. This completes my core for the day. Already meditated, 1,000 Hands Buddha, green smoothie, trained with my PT for an hour down at Manor. Hey Flick, how you doing? Messages sent, appreciation and love. Studied a book that I'm reading at the moment, made some notes, and then finally this piece here. Core 4 done, in power, ready for the day. If this is something you want to know about, head over to Graduate Medicine, Facebook, send me a message, Core 4. Have an awesome day. Look forward to seeing another episode very soon.